I'm about to talk to somebody who was really, really, I would say, fundamental in this moment. So she was reporting on the Rob Burrow Leeds Marathon. And you might remember that at the end, something like spectacular happened. Here's that moment. Have a little listen to it. See what you think.
They stopped just on the other side of the finish line. I think they're just trying to sort out the wheelchair there. Not quite finished yet, not quite gone through, but they're very, very close. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. Kev has just he's just taken Rob into his arms. Oh my God, he's carried him over the finish line in his arms. Is there a better show of friendship? Could there be a better show of friendship and of solidarity and of love than that? He's just kissed him. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Of course, the stadium just erupted.
So I'm very, very, very happy to be speaking to the fabulous woman you heard there, who is Peg Alexander. Hi, Peg.
Hi, Gayle.
Hello. So this is nice, isn't it? This is a lovely thing for you.
Oh, my goodness. It is so good. It really is so good. And do you know what? Doesn't matter how many times I hear that clip, you can tell I cried at the time. And I'll still cry every single time I hear it. It makes me want to cry because it was just the most fantastic, unexpected, emotional, wonderful moment. And Gayle, because I was out working for BBC Radio Leeds that day, I had the honour, and that's the only way I can describe it, of being the only broadcaster who was broadcasting live at the moment at which it happened. So there were lots of people filming it, but no one else was there live. And I think it's not a surprise I burst into tears, because what else are you going to do, quite frankly?
Well, exactly. And I think it's worth saying that a lot of us will have seen that moment on the telly. Like you said, we might have seen that moment. A lot of us will have heard your interpretation of that moment before. But, you know, as a journalist, it's your job to explain, you know, what is happening, sort of almost like taking a bird's eye view on a situation and trying to say, well, this is what's going on right now. But the unique thing about that moment is that you absolutely emotionally shone through, and it kind of put a magnifying glass on it. So in so many ways, you made that moment. Because you cried, I cried.
I know. And the thing is, it was all so real. I mean, the other thing to say is that happened at the end of a very, very long day. And I'd been at Headingley Stadium. So I lived near Headingley Stadium. I grew up round the corner from Headingley Stadium. I had a dad who was in the public eye who was disabled. And this was like my home turf. Do you know what I mean? And we were there. And in the morning, you know, I've been talking to Andrew Edwards since about 7:30. And I think I cried on the first call that I did back with Andrew about 7:30 in the morning. And throughout that morning, I'd seen Rob and Lindsay and the family and the kids come out. Do you know what I mean? I'd seen this whole thing happen all day, and there'd been this unbelievable atmosphere in the stadium all day, not just with Rob and with Kev when they came out to do their bit, but also for all the other thousands of people who turned out. And obviously, being a reporter, you're talking to a lot of different people. You're going up to them and saying, why are you doing this? And people are saying, I know someone who's got motor neurone disease, or I'm doing this, you know. And I was doing that only a few months after my brother had passed away. I've got a lifelong friend who's got motor neurone disease. Do you know what I mean? All of these things kind of go into it. By the time we get to sort of 1:30, I mean, I've been there since 6 a.m. Do you know what I mean? By the time we get to 1:30, you can imagine that the emotions are really high. And I think lots of us have been, well, I say lots of us, but lots of people have been listening all day to it on BBC Radio Leeds. And we were so invested in when he was going to come in, what time he was going to come in. You know, I don't think any of us knew what was going to happen at the end. And certainly I didn't. And earlier in the clip, you can hear me going, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Because I was the only radio, I'd been sent away from where all the cameras were. So I couldn't really properly see, because all these people had stood in front of me and I'm only little. So I'm trying to peek my head over to get a look over. And I'm going, oh, they're fiddling with the wheelchair. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. But when I realised that was what he was doing, he was picking him up. At first, I wasn't totally sure. I was just so invested in it.
Yeah, but that investment spread, and it spread to all of us. And I personally think that's one of the most beautiful things about radio is that even if you can't be there, you are there. And like we were there, and I've heard that quite a few times since, and I still I'm massively moved by it. And like I say, of course, nothing can take away from what actually happened and what you were there to talk about. But I do feel strongly that it is how you reacted to it that has made that moment. So, to get a nomination for something like this that's going to be nominated by real people as well. I just think you should see the list, Gayle, of all the other people that are nominated, in this. I mean, there's lots of, there's clips from Desert Island Discs. Do you know what I mean? There's loads of stuff from national radio. There's lots of famous people. There's lots of really of a big moments. So to get this nomination for BBC Radio Leeds, I think is fantastic. And just to say, I mean, as you said at the beginning, on that day, there was a whole massive team of us as well out there working. I was lucky. I was the lucky one. Well, I say I was the lucky one because by that point, a lot of people had gone home and I was still there. I'll never forget walking back around the stadium afterwards to try and get my husband to come and pick me up because I said, my feet hurt so much. Can you come and pick me up? Because I'd walked down there. And we had to walk back around the stadium, and I felt really rubbish complaining about it because obviously Kevin had just pushed Rob for a marathon, hadn't he? And all these people had just run a marathon. I can't remember my feet ever hurting as much, And of course, there was nowhere for us to sit, so we'd been on our feet, just stood up all day, so there was a whole team of us. It was a long day. It was warm. It was hot. It was emotional from the start, but it was also fantastic. And if I'm allowed to say it, it was fantastic, proper Yorkshireness as well. I mean, it get really that on a T-shirt, Peg,
because there were people from all over Yorkshire came down.
Brilliant.
The other thing that gets me so much about that is here we are. We had this bloke, Kevin Sinfield. He is big and he is macho, and he's all of those things, showing this tender, loving care, the like of which we don't often see from blokes, being so loving and tender. And I think we need more of that. And it was fantastic. And I just adore the love between him and Rob.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Peg Alexander, thank you so much for